Alright. Alright, Auge, hope you can hear me. Bear with me through the whole thing, I've never really done this before, so... Alright, I think I'll try and keep myself to a timer here. Maybe 20 minutes, I'll keep this, just to give you an overview of what the fuck's going on, mate. So this is just a random fucking setup. I'm just going to choose random Civ because I'm fucking awesome, it's fine. But typically people will play with a different map type, like Pangea, it's all connected. It's generally the most fair, because if you get continents, some people can get shafted and shit like that, but whatever. Small is good, 6 players. If you're playing on computer, Prince is actually super easy once you know what's going on. It's normal, but you just smoke the PC like you'll probably see. And quick pace is what people play on. So I'm going to click start, and we're going to see what leader we get. Alright. Oh, fucking sweet.
Your loyal subjects greet Agouti.
The thing is,
you rule the Inca people.
From
their beginnings in the small state of Cusco, the Incas displayed their potential for greatness, marching to war against their many enemies, crushing their armies into dust, and carving for themselves a mighty empire stretching from Ecuador to Chile. Indeed, they built the greatest empire ever seen in pre-Columbian America. More than mere soldiers, your people were great builders and artists as well, and the remnants of their works still awe and inspire the world today. O King Pachacuti, truly are you called.
Don't know if you can hear this shit, but that's why I'm not saying anything.
Will you once again call upon the ground itself to fight at your side? Your armies await your signal. Will you restore the glory of your empire? Can you build a civilization that will stand the test of time?
Okay, so I don't know if you heard that, but there you go. Alright, so as you probably know, there's a bunch of civs. Every civ is different, and why they're different. Alright, so every civ gets an ability here, right? And then they generally get a unique unit and some kind of unique building or ability or something they can build. Right? Sometimes it's 2 unique units, sometimes it's 2 of these. That's quite rare, but generally this is the format it goes. I don't recall ever being the Incas before, so this is going to be a new one for me. So this is probably a good experience for you. It looks challenging. So what do they got? Great Andean Road. Units ignore terrain costs when moving into any tile with hills. No maintenance cost for improvements in hills. Half the cost elsewhere. Okay. Alright, so that's quite a strong ability actually, I think. Alright, because when you're moving your military units to ground, if you go over a river or a hill, you actually expend all your movement points. So if you had 3 points, you couldn't move 3 tiles, you just move 1. So units ignore terrain when moving into any tile with hills. Okay, so usually you lose it, so this just means I can explore the map faster, I guess. No maintenance costs for improvements in hills. Okay, so just to start with, why is that important to me? If I'm building a road between 2 cities, you got to pay 1 gold for each road you do, right? But when you connect it between 2 cities, you get a buff of gold, so you get generally like 6 gold for the connection. So this means what I should probably be focusing on is actually settling in hilly areas, because I can move faster. It seems I don't have to pay for any fucking maintenance on any of the improvements I get. And I get this little bad boy here, a terrace farm. Only build it on hills. Does not need fresh water to do so. Okay, if built next to a mountain, it will provide additional food. Okay, good. And a slinger, what is this? Okay, it replaces the archer, so we're going to have pretty decent military to begin with. Alright, so we're going to start. So, Auge, here we go. Now, this is interesting start. In any game you start in, you're going to have a settler, and you're going to have this. Some people get like a bonus thing, but it's more or less one of the most important decisions you have to make in this game. Is where am I going to settle and why, right? Why is it important? Because, well, if you pick a pretty good spot, you're going to get quite a fucking massive advantage over other people in the early game, and that can let you establish maybe 2 or 3 extra cities in them. Maybe get some other buildings, just get a science advantage or something. It's hard, right? If you choose a poor starting location, you can get like low food, you won't grow very fast. Maybe your production, these hammers, won't be that good. And so it's pretty important to do. So because you're a fucking noob, let's just go through everything here, so on the screen. So one of the first things you should do, how do we do it? You should activate the resource icons here and the yield icons, and have the hex grid on. It just makes it easier. And trade routes, if you can see it, that'll be more relevant later. Okay, so what do we got going here? Every tile has a different sort of classification of what it is, right? Whether it be desert or plains or floodplains or grassland, whatever, right? And those different things have different base yields, right? And our yield is what you actually see here. And that's what our city will get if a citizen is working that tile. It's pretty obvious here. You got apples, they're food, or tomatoes that aren't ripe, up to you. The hammers here is production, and the shiny things, they're gold. Okay, so pretty simple. They're the only three things that matter at all. What do they do? So food, if you've got a city and you're working this tile, that food is going to go towards creating new citizens and growing that city and increasing the population. Okay, obvious. Yeah? When you have pop 1, you need food to get to pop 2, but each citizen in the city, so these 2 people that you have, will then consume more food, so you grow slower and slower and slower. So it's good to have food if you want growth, okay? These hammers need production, right? If you don't have any hammers, because some tiles will just have food, then you get no production of that, and you're going to have to rely on the production you get in your city. So whenever you settle, you're going to have, I believe it's 2 food, 2 production, plus whatever bonus you get, okay, from this tile. So I've settled here, I'll actually get this production as well. All right, okay, so that's just the overview of the tiles. Now what else have we got going on here? There's a couple of other things in the game that are quite important. It'll make more sense once we settle. But there are strategic resources, bonus resources, and luxury resources. Okay, so what are luxury resources? They're these things here, right? Luxury resources generally have a picture here, and they provide more happiness to your empire. Okay, so a mechanic that's going on in this game that limits your ability to keep growing is happiness. Now, happiness is how happy your empire is. Okay, so what affects happiness? So depending on your difficulty level, generally play on Prince Online or something like this. When you settle a city, you're going to start with 8 happiness. Okay, every city you make will reduce that number by 4, and every 2 citizens you have will reduce that number by 1. As soon as you hit 0 unhappiness, you're fine. And as soon as you go negative to -1, so let's say you're on the border with 0, and then your city increases by 1 population, and that ticks it over to the magic 2 number that would make that -1. You're now at -1 happiness. You grow by 25% less, right? Which is a huge effect on your empire, and you won't get bigger very fast. So it's massive. Less citizens means you're not going to get more tiles, you're not going to be able to produce faster, and the longer you go through the game, the more science you need, the more production you need. So it's actually fucked for you. So it's in your best interest to keep happy. There's a few tiers though. So as soon as you go to but I believe it's between -1 and -10, you get this 25% penalty. As soon as you tick over to between -11 and -20, you actually start to get military penalties. So your military units will be, I believe, 33% less strong. And you will also get rebellions. So just random fucking barbarian units will pop up next to your capital or some other city and just attack you and fuck up your shit. So it gets even worse. So keeping yourself happy is very good. And how do you get happy? Okay, you get happy in the early game by having these luxury resources. Okay, so they say +4, but what you have to do is you have to get some sort of technology. In this case, it's calendar for dyes, and you work this tile. You put a plantation on there. You can see, just if I take it off that red thing, it says requires calendar. You can see that just above the part that says unit needs orders. Should be here. That means you research a technology called calendar, and you can pop a plantation on there. It's connected to your empire, and then you get +4 happiness from this resource. Okay, you can only get the luxury resource from once. So if I have this die and that die, I don't get 8 happiness, right? I only get 4, but I have then 1 excess, which I can trade to someone else. And generally what you'll do is you want to trade it to someone else for a unique luxury, and then you get the 4, and they'll get the 4. Okay, so it's a bit of a trade-off. Something to be aware of, not everything with a little picture is a luxury. So your luxuries are kind of sort of intuitively looking like luxuries in your mind, right? So that's stuff like dyes, gold, silver, gems. What else there is? It says ivory, silk, incense, and some other weird shit, right? I think there's 2 or 3 more. I can't really remember, right? But they're your luxury resources. Some other ones that have the icons here are like bonus resources, okay? So if you work this tile, it doesn't make your empire happier, but it gives you some kind of bonus. In this case, it says stone gives +1 production to a tile. So we see here, we have a grassland tile, right? And grassland tiles have just one food, right? But because it's got a forest on it also, it gets +1 production. This one here, excuse me, that's wrong. The grassland tile has 2 food, okay? But forest has 1 production, okay? -1 food. Grassland generally has 2 food, right? But because you've got stone in there, you get +1 production. And if you work the stone, you'll get another one. So this is a pretty decent tile. You get 2 and 2, okay? Right, but that's the general mechanics. Okay, now we also have coastal things. So you can see this is ocean, okay? Ocean has 1 food. You can get improvements and make it a little bit bigger. But what we're trying to focus on here, I've talked enough bullshit to some basic stuff, is where are we going to settle? Right. So you'd probably think, this game, you got to work fast. Maybe settling exactly where I am is a good idea. Yeah, maybe. But it could be that there's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 spots away, like over here by this hill or something here. There's maybe some crazy spot that's just full of bullshit that would be so fucking much better than this and maybe worth waiting an extra turn. So, in order to do that, I'm a little bit fucked because I have forest here. And that means I can only walk once, right? So what we're going to do, we're just going to save this because it's more or less a training video. We'll save this, okay? So, you would never move your settler first. You want to use your warrior first. Now, the way this works with visibility, if I move here, he'll probably reveal all those around him. But if I'm actually on a hill, you get 8 tiles, so you can see more. So it's in your interest always to move towards a hill. However, because there's the forest there, I can see that's going to take 2 moves for me to do. 2, 2, yep. You can also cheat here, mate. This is a pro tip, alright? Don't fucking tell the other boys. This is called radaring. So I can tell, because you see how this goes red when I hold it there? That means this unit is not allowed to move there, right? But through the fog of war, you can actually see that as well. Okay, so it went red. I'm just trying to see, is this coastal? Okay, so there's the coast. That's land. That's land as well. Oh no, this has not worked. That may actually just be a river then. Okay, hold on. No, this has not worked. Okay, I think they patched the game then recently. Don't forget that. Okay, you can't cheat anymore. Alright, so what I want to do, right? So what's going good for this position here? Okay, 1, it's by the coast. That's not necessarily a disadvantage or an advantage. What that means is I can probably build a navy from here and maybe trade with some people a little bit better. I've got a luxury resource here and I've got something good for production. The thing that I'm lacking here is I don't see a tile with like 3 or 4 food where I can grow fucking rapidly, which is really what I like to do. Generally you find something like bananas and it has 3 food, or some cows or some other shit, and you can upgrade it and you start to get really decent production. You can grow really, really quickly and then you can expand away. I see that a bit lacking. However, I probably will get decent production here. But let's not forget my ability. I am able to build terrace farms and build shit on hills maintenance free, and I don't have any fucking hills next to me, so my civilization isn't really supposed to be coastal. All the advantages around the hills. So what we're going to do, because this guy can move twice, I'm going to have a cheeky peek, alright? Okay, so now what do I see? I see that there's some wheat here, right? That's a bonus resource. If I put a farm on there, I'm going to have 3 food and then 1 production. There's a hill here, but there's not much going on there. So I would say maybe this is a better starting location right here, because ideally I want to be next to a river and hills, right? Because hills give you production. If I move here, I'm still on the coast. I have this luxury resource and these 2 bonus resources. And I can expand around this hill and probably use this as well. Alright, so I don't want to waste more than 1 turn doing that, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to treat this as like I'm playing a fucking multiplayer game. I would just personally pick here. Okay. Okay, so now that I've started my city, I get this heads up display, and this tells you a lot more what's going on in the game. So we'll just have to go through that really briefly. Okay. So here, this is just science, right? You get +4, and that's from cities, right? How this mechanic works, you get 3 from the science building, so the palace gives you 1, and then you get 1 science per person, right? So you can see immediately that population equates to science, okay? So intuitively, if you're leading a science in the game, you're like fucking Australians going to shoot Aborigines. So being scientifically advanced is very, 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 very important in this game. It makes you win it immediately. So important to remember is population is science, science is population. That's more or less the fucking number one mechanic. If you can understand that, you'll fucking never lose the game. Okay? So keep that in mind. Sorry. And you've got citizen management over here as well, right? I have 1 citizen in the city. He's currently working this tile. The way it works, you can tell him to do whatever, but as soon as you manually do it, you'll have a lock here, and it will never automatically change. Because what you can also do is just say, let's go production focus or science focus, right? And it will just switch accordingly, right, to the most food. But what I want to do in the early game, because I get 1 production here, I want to at least work something with 1 production. It's not always the case. And I want to pick something with the most food, because gold is not super, super important to me in the beginning of the game, right? So I'm going to work this tile, okay? That's what we got going on here. Right, the next thing is gold. Your city will generally give you 3 gold, always, because you get a palace, so you'll always start positive. This is how many trade routes you get. You unlock those with technology, and then you can send little caravans and shit to other cities and generate gold or food or whatever. I'll show you how that works in a few turns. And here's your base happiness. This is how the breakdown works. So I got 9 happiness to begin with from the game. I lose 3 from the city, and I lose 1 from having 1 person in there, so -4. So I have 5 left. Okay. If I get this dies connected, I'll add 4 to that, and I'll go back to 9, and that means I can start expanding. This one here is a golden age, right? So there's a benefit to having more happiness than 0. The excess happiness per turn turns into this number, and as soon as this number hits that number, you go into a golden age. And what happens is everything that has gold is +1, and I think you get 25% production. Yeah, here we go. So in a golden age, your empire that produces at least 1 gold will produce 1 extra, which is huge actually. You get 20% extra production, and the culture you produce per turn is 20%. So it's kind of in your interest to do that. There's sort of a strategy to doing that if you want to play it that way, because you can just fucking rip culture through the fucking roof, and you can start to advance in the game like a madman, right? Next one is culture, right? Culture is produced by buildings exclusively. And there's 1 person you can get in the game that can just give it to you for free as well, right? Give you like 400 or something. Every time you hit a new culture, you get a different social policy, right? We'll talk about that when we come up here. But this is super important to understand as well. So having good culture is also a very good thing in your interest. You get +1 by default because you have a building in here called a palace, and the palace gives you +1 culture. You can see it right there, okay? So it gives you +3 gold, +3 science, +3 production, and +1 culture to get you started, okay? So basically here, in 15 turns, I will get a social policy. However, I can speed that up, and I would like to do that. So I'll show you how. So now, what are we going to do? The first step we need to do after we've founded our city is select which tile we're going to work. And I'm going to be a nerd here. I'm going to lock it there so the game doesn't change it, because I want to make sure I grow. Right, so 5 turns to get another citizen. Then I need to choose what I'm producing. First building you can build is a monument. It gives you +2 culture, which for 15 is fucking huge, right? That's a good idea to do. However, in terms of strategy, never do that, okay? Just follow what I'm saying. It'll become clear later. Your first thing you should do is build a scout. Why? You want to explore the map, you want to find these things called ruins, and you want to find where to put your next city. And that's your first concern, right? And you want to pick your research, right, with the tech tree. So here's how you do your first turns. I'll keep it limited to how you want to get to maybe this point in the game, okay? Some people are going to look for these things called wonders so they can build really cool things. You don't need to do that. What you really want to do at the beginning of the game, you want to get your shit set up so you can actually build stuff, get your cities going, and then really look to pop out and fucking smoke people about here in the game when you're getting here. Because these guys like Sam and Dave and stuff like that, they'll fucking start to get obsessed with, oh, I've got to have a good early game. No, fuck, mate. Here's what your early game is. Get your fucking financial house in order. Get your happiness in order. Get some fucking buildings going so you can get some faith production and all this kind of shit, and then fucking just smoke the guys. So I would always do this. Always, unless you have another better reason, always get pottery first because it allows you to build a granary. That will increase your food in your city by 2. And any wheat or bananas and shit you have will get +1, so it's quite powerful. And you get to build this thing called a shrine, so you can get faith per turn. Faith is probably one of the most important mechanics in the game. If you can generate it, you should. If you can't, then you've got to change your strategy a little bit, but always build this first. So pottery. Alright, now we're going to move. So as I said before, if you have the choice, always go on top of a hill. Okay, so I see the hill, there's fresh water, and there's 2 more luxes here. Because I see I have this and this, it's likely that these are the 4 only ties in the game, and there's an advantage to me having all of them, so no one else can have them, so they've got to trade them from me. Alright, we're going to move again, and I'm going to move towards there. Okay, so I see another hill, and that's where we're going. So the next 4 turns, we're just going to move around. Do that smart. Okay, this is a ruin. You want to find these because you get bonuses that can break the game in the early game. So you can get bonus culture, you can get +1 citizen, you can get a free technology, you can get upgraded weapons, you either get map information or it will tell you where barbarian camps are. Okay, all fucking good, right? And purely with your scouts, you're trying to get as many of these as possible. Okay. Excellent. So it gave me 13 culture. So I, on turn 3, I believe, get now social policy. No one else has it. Second lux here. So what I'm thinking, I'm going to explore this area. Maybe this is exactly where it will be, the next city, because I got a bonus resource here as well. That's coastal. Okay, so I probably don't need to do it. Now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to find my opponent, because if I can settle my second city somewhere decent to block this guy off, that would be more ideal than settling somewhere that makes sense, because I can always come back to it. Okay, but now we're going to start our policies. Now, the most important decision here, you can choose any one of these 4. If you choose this or this, you lose the game. Okay, you have a choice here between tradition and liberty. They're the only 2 you're going to pick. You're going to finish this whole tree or this whole tree before you move on, and then you're going to go get this tree. Anything in between finishing this tree and that one becoming available, you would just put 1 or 2 points in anything that makes sense to you at the time. But you finish this and you finish this, or you lose the game. Finish this or this and this, or you lose. Tradition, what this allows you to do, and it's probably 90% of the time, or maybe 95% of the time, you're going to be picking this. The other 5% of the time, you're going to be picking this. The difference between this one lets you build a tall civilization. This one lets you build a wide one. Tall means you're going to probably have maybe 5 or 6 cities, and they're all going to become very, very, very big and centralized. Why? Because you get a lot of growth bonuses here. Also, the other thing is, at this point, your first 4 cities get a free monument, which is that building we looked at before, for free, so you don't need to produce it, and you get this after maybe another 10 turns. And the second thing is you get, when you finish this, you get an aqueduct, which lets you grow quicker. Okay, finishing this whole tree also gives you 15% growth in all your cities, right? In your first 4, all your cities, right? And they give you a free aqueduct in all 4 cities, right? And then you can purchase great engineers starting in the industrial area with faith. It's good. Some other bonuses, you get happiness in your capital based on your population. So every 2 citizens is -1 unhappiness in the empire. And this one you get plus 10% growth and 2 food in the capital. So this one basically gives you a fuck off major capital. And you should pick it when it looks right to just become small and sort of high pop. This one lets you spread like a motherfucker super quick. You'll struggle with unhappiness, but overall you have more cities, and this advantage allows you to just build settlers faster, and you'll get more production overall than your opponents. Although these people will have bigger cities that are more specialized and probably build more wonders than you, you will have a military advantage because you can build shit much quicker. But this is much, much harder to play. And you really should only play this if, at this point, when you have this choice, you can see more, maybe 3 or 4 unique luxuries and it looks like you can expand quickly. From my point of view, I see dyes and silk. This doesn't really look like a fucking awesome place to settle. So I'm actually quite concerned. Being conservative, I'm just going to go, okay, tradition. It's adopted. Okay, now we move on. Okay, I can see here as well, or I did see, there was a city-state here. So we'll see him next turn. Now what I'm doing with my warrior, I'm keeping my warrior quite close. So after my second scout is out, he's just around here to defend me against barbarians. Alright, so I don't get fucked up. Now scouts ignore terrain. So what I want to do at the end of the day is kind of explore here, at least. It should give me enough information to go back. So what I'm waiting for is to get to maybe pop 3, and then I can start building something else, like a granary, in 3 turns. So I'm going to build that scout, and that will give me an advantage. A lot of people won't do it. Always build 2 scouts. Okay. City-states, another mechanic. They're sort of NPCs of the world. It's one city, and it's a state, okay? Each of them has this fucking specialty. This one is a faith city. So when you're the first one to meet him, you get 30 gold and 8 faith, which is huge. Because to found a Pantheon, you need 6 faith. So that means I'm going to be the first one to build a Pantheon, okay? It's really good. When you're allied with these guys, they'll give you a bonus resource, okay? And they'll also start giving you faith for free. So I met Vatican City, fucking awesome. Alright, next turn I'll found a Pantheon. So I'm actually probably going to fucking smoke this game even faster. Right, so as I said, always go on hills. Okay, I've definitely got all the fucking dies in the game. Here we go. More faith. Okay. So, found a Pantheon. Now how this works. You can pick a Pantheon. Okay. Once you pick it, it's gone. No one else can use it. Right? And generally these give you some kind of bonus. What you want to do is you want to align it so that you will get, over the course of the game, more culture or more faith than someone else, or a lot of growth, right? It really depends on your starting location. So, for example, some of the best ones is this one, Desert Folklore, but that's only good if you're around desert, because each of these tiles will just produce 1 faith, and then after you're on turn like 100, you're getting fucking so much faith. What I'm looking at here, I've got 2 quarries and I've got plantations probably for my next city, so I'm going to be looking at those ones and see what I get. Pastures, I'm not going to get any cows. Fishing birds, no. Where is it? There's one for quarries. Okay, this is probably the one I'm going to go for. Plus 2 faith from quarries. I've got 2 stone things here. I'm going to build quarries on them probably in about 15 turns or something like that. And then I'll get plus 4 faith, which is, for this part of the game, actually quite huge. Because when you get to 200 or 190, you can get a prophet and found a religion, and that's kind of important to your game mechanic. However, I think there is something for plantations as well. Most of these are garbage, by the way. Copper and salt, tundra, shrine. I think it was culture, pastures, wine and incense. Yeah, okay. So the other one is I can get plus 1 culture. That wouldn't be too bad, right? Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 culture, probably. However, faith is much rarer. Hold on, can I move this guy more? No, so unfortunately you got to pick it now. Fuck. I probably want to go with the plantations one. It really depends what's there, but because there's stone here, I'm going to guess there's more. So, alright, we're just going to have to go with the fucking stone one. Okay. Okay, now I got pottery. Now, what I would usually recommend, you should always build the granary, but because now I've got a faith advantage, I know I've got it, I'm going to build a shrine so I can get the first religion. That's how I'm going to go with this game now. Alright, so this guy's back. I'm going to send him this way. Okay. Okay, so here's a river. This is looking good. That's ideally where I would want to start my city, right here. I wish it was. So, after you do pottery, depending on what you got going on, you should probably go to calendar, right? Because it lets you build plantations. You can also build this wonder, which is fucking awesome. But I need to get to masonry first because I want to build the quarry, or I can get the slinger. Generally, what I would do is this and then that. That's what I should do actually. Oh. No, I need the quarries, mate. No. Yeah, the fucking quarries. Alright. It's all going to be done pretty quick, so. Okay. Alright, there's another Lux, that's good. Okay, here's Tundra, so this is probably the end of the map, and fantastic, there's another quarry, so it's marble. Right. There's another sieve, alright. Okay, so this is an excellent place to start, right? If I was actually founding my first city, I would found it right here. Got food, food, food. It's gonna be fucking massive, you know. So that sucks. Yeah. So my second city is actually gonna be much bigger than this one. All right. With this policy, I would probably always recommend to getting to this first. This one gives you a wonder bonus. I would do that only if you're gonna rush a wonder, right? But typically, I would always go like this, right? I want to get there before Frenchie. Yes. Okay. Okay, last one pop. Awesome. Ah, yeah, there's another one. I actually could have gone Liberty, I reckon. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's how it is, mate. You can't fucking choose that shit. There we go. Advanced tech. Good. So we're already fucking in the lead. There we go. Natural wonder. Okay. Natural wonders, when you find them, they actually give you more happiness. I think it's like 1. And also really fucking powerful to work on. If you have the opportunity, you should always found a city next to it. Alright, these are barbarians, I'm sure you know what they are. Alright. If you have the opportunity to see a city-state, go and see it. Alright, and basically we're just trying to spread out, find runes, find where our competition is. The next thing I'm going to do is, if you're a dum-dum, you can build your worker, which is, I'm getting pretty good production, so I probably might just do that. But you've got to be thinking to get your set morale about turn, 25, something like that. That's how you maintain your advantage. Food I'm doing pretty well at the moment. I've got horses there, so I've got a lot of production potential. But what you can do is when you work your warriors around these city-states, they're going to eventually produce a worker. You can just capture it and take it back. You don't need to produce it. But because my production is pretty good, I will build a worker now. Okay. Yeah. These cunts just attack you. They can't move and attack at this. Well, they can't. They can only move once and attack once, right? Another good thing to know: if you've got a friendly unit next to you, you get a bonus. So you get a flanking bonus 10%. You shouldn't really take these guys out, but they're next to me, so and he's got nowhere to go, so you'll just kill him. Now I'm just trying to run away from that cunt. Okay, so they're now archers, right? Okay. The other thing these city-states do is they have generally quests. Usually at the early game, it's like, oh, I want you to kill that fucking barbarian campaign, and they'll give you a massive bonus, but it's a little early on, so they haven't done it yet, but I still want to get rid of it. Yep, still the first. So now I've got quite a bit of gold. Alright. Use gold to also buy buildings that can really advance you if you're clever about it, right? So I'm just trying to collect as much gold as possible. These fucking things, every 5 turns they spawn a unit, right? So you want to get rid of this fucking camp. Oh, come on. Yes, fucking yes. Like I said before, always go in these big circles, map out the area, because you don't want to suddenly know that France is here, because this cunts will just settle here. So that's what we're kind of rushing at the moment. Okay, so now if I kill this cunt, I'll get more fucking cred with Vatican City.
Mina ngingushaka.
Okay, so I met that cunt. Oh, that's fucking awesome. Another pop. Alright, it's another Lux. Right, so this is a small map, so I reckon all my cities would probably fall into here. So I'm gonna try and find the best spot. This one is good because it will grow because I'm a tradition. Borders will expand quickly, and I'll get this as well. Right, next one will probably be here, but I'm suspicious I'm going to have to do a block here as well. I have to find where the other guys are. So he's just building a fucking worker still. I'm not going to run out of happiness yet, but I need the quarries to get stuck in faith. Alright, should get cred with him now. No? Yeah, so I got 12 influence for doing that. As soon as you get to some level like 30, you get friend status, and then you get ally status. Right? It's a bit shit because these Incan cunts are supposed to be building near mountains, but I didn't start near any, so that's kind of fucked. Okay, just in time, masonry. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to build a quarry, get my faith and production up. Okay, so here's the border. This is the Zulu. They've already got a fucking settler up. Oh no, Great General, sorry. They've gone for honor and a settler. So they're probably going to settle somewhere here, maybe here. So it's a little bit concerning. So my next thing should be actually getting a settler up. As soon as you build a settler, you will stop growing. Okay? Pro tip, when you do that, go to your citizens, because food doesn't matter anymore. It's just 100% production based. So you take cunts off shit that makes food, and you put it, if you can make gold and production, that's what you do. And that cunt comes down 1 turn. In terms of tech, I can get my luxury resource, yeah. Because I'm going to settle a city, I'm going to get a 4 penalty, so I need to make sure I have plantation, so I've got to go for that. Now, you could be a dick. Usually these guys will have a warrior unit there, because if I attack that, I'm going to stop his settler, right? And that's going to fuck him for the rest of the game. So even though declaring war at this stage, I can't really financially support that. He can't attack me either, because he doesn't really have any fucking units. So I will be very aggressive, and this is what you should do. If you see this, you should fucking always take it out, because he's fucked for the game. Okay, boom, legalism. So now, I just got a free building. I got a monument for free. Okay, so next city I build as well will also get it. That's why you should do that. It's pretty early. So now I'm getting fucking 6 culture instead of 1. I would like to explore this way. Okay, he's a moron. So I'm going to fucking take it. I should get a worker out of it. Declare war? Absolutely. Fuck you. Right, so I got a worker. Mainly what I did that for, because I don't want him to have another city. Purely because he's my competition.
Eu sou Pedro, imperador.
Yeah, I'm in trouble. Probably lost it. Damn it. These guys are going to invade me now. Okay. So now what I want to do is actually get this worker back safely. Nah, no way. Okay. It's actually really valuable to have a worker that early, or 2 workers, because as soon as I build the next city I can spend 6 turns doing something else. But I hope he doesn't get fucking killed here. Yeah, okay, good. I might be able to get away. What's going on with these guys? They're all just letting their workers out. This is super aggressive play. And you should be that way. It's like poker, you know. So these guys are going to attack me. I would rather actually... Can't go here. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. Important to know, archers can't just take over fucking units. So that's a bit shit. Okay, so now you see I got 2 faith, which is fucking massive. I'm doing okay for happiness. I can build it later. I'd rather get the faith bonus. Alright. Okay, got him. I don't know why he put his worker out there, but we'll see. Now, because I'm at war, it's probably a good idea to have some military units available, so I'd like to get archery now. You should always be going for riding, but it's quite early in the game. I think I'm going to have a strong early game now that I have these guys workers. Because they're now going to be fucked up. I lost it. Yeah. I'll just send that worker back on his own because I don't really give a fuck what happens to it. Alright, so I know Germany's here. Zulu are here. I don't know where France is. So it must go up this way. So that's quite concerning actually. So my objective is to get here as soon as possible. I can always expand here on my own, no one's going to get it, ideally with that. So the next city will actually probably be right here after that. Generally the PC will make peace with me. Natural wonder, actually that's so worth settling on, but that's inside the city state I think. Okay. Alright, now they can move too, so he can capture my worker next. So it's quite concerning. So I'm going to build a military unit with gold. I'm going to take this guy back here. So if he moves in, I can shoot him with my city. Settler, unfortunately, he's going to have to skip that turn. Alright, now you see how these guys have the workers? You can just take them, and I don't fucking care, mate. You know, you get a penalty, but you can repair that later. The thing is, the more workers you have, the stronger you can be. So you can just start raping these guys. What I would do next is granary. Now, because I have a quarry, I can build a stoneworks to get more happiness and more production, which is probably what I actually should do first. This just gives me +2 food. Yeah. Now, I'm not growing, so I need to go back to actually having some food. Yeah, now it's growing again. See, they just make peace with you. See if I can get 5. Can I get anything out of him?
Cha. Lutho neze neze.
Okay. Well, that was 20 minutes. We'll just fucking leave it there, mate. That's how you start the game.